Hi, I'm writer and poet Kay Spivey. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about Solarpunk. I'm sure by now everyone has kind of heard the word about Solarpunk. It's kind of starting to get around, but I just really wanted to talk about why I'm so excited about this genre. I've been kind of a fan of some of the speculative fiction genres. I have enjoyed steampunk. I mean, who doesn't enjoy the aesthetic of steampunk? It was always kind of a like, but I wouldn't want to live in that. It's always very dirty, always lots of smog, lots of steam. Some of the flying around is cool, but it was never really a genre I wanted to live in. Same with cyberpunk, where it was all like cool lines and everyone's wearing neon. That just wasn't my thing. But as soon as I heard about Solarpunk, I was like, this is the wave of the future. I love the idea of everything being solar powered and sustainable, and I love the idea of plants everywhere, like plants coming off of buildings, living like together with nature and technology. I think it's the coolest idea, and I really want to read more fiction that has a solarpunk aspect. I love the idea that you don't have to give up technology to allow nature to kind of come back and to like save the earth, that you can embrace the two together. I like the idea of using like personal greenhouses for oxygen and food and medicine and like universal medicine, and cleaning up the ocean is like a big thing. And I really like the idea of just having all these solar powered pieces of technology, or a lot of green energy, and a lot of wanting to have plants around, a lot of wanting to have the greenery, and that technology is to help the environment as well as help the people. It's just such a really nice, fresh concept, and a lot of the technology is already there. Like, you can read about the science of different things that is already available, but it's not widely spread, it's not known about very well, it's always kind of quashed down. Like, we could have green renewable energy all over the world. We don't, and I like the idea of fiction thinking about a future that could happen. Like, we have so much dystopian and we used to have so much utopian, and this is kind of like the happy medium, like the we could do better. Like, this is realistic, we could get here, and the future wouldn't have to be a dystopian. It's just such a refreshing notion. We just don't have a lot of fiction that is as refreshing as Solarpunk can be. But at the same time, like, I really like the aesthetic of it. I keep trying to write a short story. Here's my problem. I keep trying to write a short story, and it's got all the good things. It's got all of the Solarpunk. I described the house, and I've described this house like so many times, like pages and pages of like how this house works, and like that everything you eat is compostable and everything is recycled, and you have a certain amount of oxygen that your greenhouse gives back to the world every day, and you're trying to meet that quota, and you've got all of your herbs growing indoors, and just like all this fun stuff, and like how much your solar input is and your oxygen output is. And I think it's fantastic. Like, I designed this whole little place, and then I had no conflict. I didn't know what to make the conflict. I was gonna try and have like, here's how like liberal hippie I am. I was gonna have it just be like, oh, they're going to a poetry reading for like their friend's poetry, but there's not really a conflict in that either. I'm working on trying to figure out something to make it a story, because right now I have like a concept. I have the first scene, and it's cool and it's solarpunk, but like, I want to know more. Does anyone have any ideas? Like, have you read any really good stories where there's like a really interesting, very much centrally solarpunk idea? Like, what's the conflict that they use? I feel like the solarpunk future that I'm looking for is after big businesses and corporations have kind of been quashed down by people wanting the renewable resources. So we're not like fighting the big companies anymore. Like, now everyone's got their renewable energy, everyone's embraced the science, like this is a thing now, and people are for it the way that we've been for like seatbelts in the past, or like other things that are like good for everybody. Like, we've all embraced it, like this is truly a good thing. I want it to be after that. Like, I can understand doing the struggle of like getting to solarpunk, like how people got there, but I would love to see what the conflicts could be for after we're there. Like, after we've embraced solarpunk, what is the next big bad? Like, if people are really invested in cleaning up the ocean, like we're using those microplastics for something else, for something good, like technology that's helping us with more, helping the environment, and people are living really good, and there's a lot of universal health care, and there's a lot of like good new tech. If we're living these lives that people seem happy in the solarpunk universe, like that's very utopian, like what then is the conflict? And I'd be really interested to hear other people's ideas about what you do with this idea that seems very prosperous. Like, what are the downsides to it? I just want to know more. I want to hear lots of thoughts. I feel like this is the speculative fiction future that should be blowing up everywhere. Like, this is what we should all be striving for. And I want to know more about it. I want to like keep reading things and keep having more and more fiction that uses this aspect. And I'm kind of going back, since I'm already like fine lining my novel, I'm gonna add in a little bit. There's like, the technology is different. They have a different set of technology because of the way the magic works in my novels world, but I want to add in some concepts that are solar punk because I just love it so much. I think it's such an interesting concept. This is mostly me jumping in here wanting to hear your thoughts about solar punk revolution going on, or if you've read anything or you've written anything, especially if you've written anything solar punk related, link it down below. I definitely want to check that out, and I want everyone else who's watched this to be able to check that out. But I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the solar punk revolution? Like, what aspects of it are really interesting to you? Have you heard some of the aesthetics that I've liked are like worshiping sun gods? Like, that's really cool. There's a little bit of an Egyptian thing. That's not as much what I'm into. I'm more into the like super eco green living thing where like you've got your smartphone but it's solar powered, that kind of thing, and you've got all your plants around. And I like the like personal greenhouse that actually like works towards the environment. I love the idea of like personal reforestation. I like the idea of there not being big corporations who are allowed to do like whatever they want with their land, that kind of stuff. A lot of personal responsibility and a lot of bringing back the green. I love that, but I'd like to hear what other people's thoughts about it are. I want to hear more about what you think we can do to get there. Like, have you started thinking about how to solar punk your own life? We already have a lot of plants. I don't usually have too many plants over here, but obviously I put some in today. Other side of our house where there's better sun, we have a lot of plants indoors. My husband is really good with plants, so we just have a bunch of plants. Every summer I plant myself a little garden on my back porch. I like having green things, not so much like cut flowers or anything. I like growing flowers in the summer. I like growing plants indoors year round. Like here, this is an orange tree. Got myself a peace lily here. I'm gonna say there are some plants that are not cat friendly. Like, I don't have a spider plant, even though it's great for the air, because super poisonous to cats, and my cats will eat it. Peace lily, on the other hand, mildly poisonous to cats, but it makes their mouth uncomfortable when they chew on it. So my cats do not bother the peace lily at all. They leave the peace lily 100% alone. If that's true for you, I recommend it. One of the best plants I've ever owned. You just don't water it until it wilts. It wilts all the way down, then you water it, it perks right back up, and that's it. It tells you when it needs to be taken care of, and most cats do not bother the peace lily. So, and it doesn't need a ton of sun either. Like, it's the best apartment living plant I've ever had. No problem with the cats. Every other plant we've owned, some kind of problem with the cats. Like, they will eat a spider plant, but they will not eat this. So that was my little sudden segue for cats and plants. But anyway, back on subject. I want to know what you think of solar punk and like what you've done. Like, do you try to eat less meat to try and help the environment? Do you try and use solar powered things when you can? Do you use renewable items? Do you recycle heavily? Like, what are the things you're already doing? What are the things you're interested in? What are some new science things you've heard about that you're like, yeah, that's so cool? There's the ocean cleanup project, which I keep following because I think it's fascinating. This kid came up with this idea that we're gonna take the big plastics out of the ocean using these ramps that are set. I'll leave like a link to the ocean project down below because I think it's a cool idea, and they're still kind of working through their prototype stages. I think once they get it going, like, it's really cool and it's going to do a lot of good. There are a lot of projects like that, but this particular one I'll link below because I think it's cool. I'll link to a couple of resources, I guess. I won't go like nuts so crazy because I want to see what you guys have to say. But anyway, that's just been my rant about solar punk. I just think it's a cool new revolution, and I would love to hear a lot more about what people are thinking about this and what people are doing about it. Like, this is the future I want for us. So anyway, definitely want to hear from you down below, especially if you've already written something solar punk. Seriously, leave me a link and I will go and read it. I guess that's all for today. Hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Good luck to all of us. Bye!